Hey guys, Brad Danger here, and Chevy built a Ferrari killer and then sold it to a guy named Kyle who drinks blue raspberry pre-workout and says, bro, trust me, it's basically a Lamborghini while wearing pit vipers inside a vape shop. And the worst part, Kyle might actually be right, because the C8 Corvette is not just another Corvette. It's not just another America did a sports car again moment. This thing is a cultural jailbreak. This is what happens when the most divorced car in America goes to therapy, gets veneers, starts wearing slim fit shirts, and suddenly becomes the hottest guy at the Applebee's bar. For decades, the Corvette was just the official car of, I bought this after the kids moved out. It was fiberglass, New Balance shoes, jean shorts or jorts, and a laminated window sticker that says 101 built on a Tuesday with red stitching during a light drizzle while Travis at Bowling Green picked his nose and accidentally left something green under the clear coat. But the C8, the C8 flipped the whole script. It moved the engine behind the driver. It looked exotic. It launched like it owed money. It made teenagers care about Corvettes. And with the Z06 and ZR1, didn't just enter the supercar chat. Chevy kicked the door open, threw a small block through a drywall, and said, "Nice Ferrari, nerd. How much was your oil change?" And remember, we're in the final days of giving away our Shelby or our Supra plus $100,000, 100 free entries in the pin first comment. Go snag them while they last, and let's go. Today, we're talking about why the Chevrolet Corvette C8 might be the most important car Chevy has built in the last decade. Not the Silverado, not the Camaro, not another crossover with a name stolen from a cool car. The C8. Because this thing changed who buys Corvettes, changed what people expect from American performance, embarrassed cars costing 2 or 3 times more, and somehow made Chevrolet, the company that sells fleet spec Malibus to rental lots, look like it could bully Europe at lunch. And before the comments start, I know the Corvette has always been fast. I know your Uncle C5s with long tubes and a cam can gap anything, brother. I know there are C6 Z06 guys who haven't blinked since 2008 because they're running on pure LS7 fumes and divorce energy. Old Corvettes were fast in a very American way. They were like a dude bench pressing 405 in cargo shorts. The C8 is fast in the, this car might have an engineering department that owns several espresso machines kind of way. Let's be honest, for a long time, the Corvette had an image problem. Mechanically, amazing. Culturally, oof. The Corvette was the sports car for the guys who posted on Facebook Marketplace with the description, "No lowballers, I know what I got." And what he has is a C6 automatic convertible with chrome wheels, 11,000 miles, and a custom plaque that says, "Only one made in Velocity Yellow with cashmere interior, automatic transmission, dealer-installed floor mats, built during lunch break on a Friday, VIN ending in a 7 when the guy in quality control sneezed." Corvette owners invented special editions that Chevy didn't even know existed. Actually, this is a one of one because it's the only one with this exact dust pattern on the dashboard. Sir, that is just pollen. And that image stuck. The Corvette became the default midlife crisis machine, the car that you bought after your promotion, a divorce, or both. It was always fast, always impressive, always a bargain, but rarely cool to younger people. The C7 Z06 could melt tires, murder lap times, and scare passengers into finding religion. But a 22-year-old TikToker wasn't dreaming about one the way they dreamed about a Huracan or an R35 GTR or whatever wide-body JDM bucket that had just been posted with cinematic sad boy music. Then Chevy did the one thing everyone had been begging them to do for decades. They made it mid-engine. And suddenly, the Corvette went from my dad's dream car to, hold up, is that a McLaren? Moving the engine to the middle was not just a layout choice, it was a brand exorcism. The front engine Corvette formula was legendary, but it had a ceiling, huge hood, driver sitting way back, big V8 up front, classic American Grand Sport proportions. Cool, absolutely, but exotic? Not really. The C8 shows up and suddenly the proportions are completely different. Short hood, cab forward, big side intake, rear haunches, the engine behind your head. It has the silhouette people associate with supercars, not your dentist's weekend toy. And that matters because cars are not just numbers. They are emotional manipulation devices with monthly payments. The C8, it looks expensive, it looks exotic, it looks like something that should come with an Italian salesman named Marco who says, "We do not discuss discount." Except instead of $300,000, the early Stingray started in normal person fantasy land. Still expensive, yeah, but compared to a Ferrari, that's basically Costco supercar pricing. The base C8 Stingray was already a problem, around 495 horses with the performance exhaust, dual clutch transmission, 0 to 60 in less than 3, and a look that made people ask, what is that? That is magic. The old Corvette made people say, nice Corvette, brother. The C8 made people say, what is that? That is how you know Chevy cooked. And then the buyer changed. The Corvette used to be associated with guys who had lawn care options. The C8 pulled in a younger, louder, more internet native audience. The car became TikTok bait. You started seeing C8s wrapped in satin purple, wearing ridiculous aero kits, revving in parking garages, and being filmed vertically by someone named Jaden who says, build goes crazy 6 times each sentence. The Corvette went from car show folding chairs to cars and coffee flame maps. From do not touch this rare spec, I know what I got, to watch me straight pipe this thing and install underglow because I hate resale value. And honestly, that's all good. Because a sports car brand that only appeals to the past eventually becomes the past. Chevy needed the Corvette to feel alive again, not just respected, not just historically important, alive. The C8 made the Corvette relevant to people who don't know about split window coupes, which 63 is my fave, but absolutely know what launch control looks like in a 12-second Instagram reel. And yeah, some old school Corvette people hated it. It's not a real Corvette. Brother, it has a V8, 2 seats, questionable visibility, and makes people with HOA complaints furious. That is a Corvette. The engine just moved behind you because physics said stop being stubborn. Then Chevy dropped the Z06, and this is where the C8 went from cool new Corvette to Europe needs to start sweating. Because the C8 Z06 is not just a faster Stingray, it's a completely different animal. A naturally aspirated 5.5-liter flat-plane crank V8, 670 horses, an 8,600 RPM redline, a sound that makes you check if the badges are lying. Because that engine does not sound like traditional Corvette thunder. It sounds like a Ferrari that got drafted into the NFL. It screams, it wails, it does that exotic metal chainsaw thing that makes grown adults point to their phones just like they saw a UFO. And the funniest part is that it came from Chevrolet, the bow tie, the same brand that makes the Cruise. The Z06 is proof that GM engineers are not boring. They have simply been trapped in conference rooms where someone keeps saying cost target. Because when they are allowed to go feral, they create a flat plane V8 that makes more naturally aspirated horsepower than some actual exotic engines and then stick it in a Corvette with a warranty. That is violence, and on the track, the Z06 is disgusting in the best way possible. Big tires, serious aero, Z07 package, carbon ceramics, real downforce, a chassis that actually wants to rotate instead of just doing the American thing where it says, we're going straight now. Good luck. The Z06 made the Corvette feel like it belonged in the same conversation as Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini, McLaren, not as a discount option, but as a legitimate threat. Except it still has Chevy energy. It is a supercar that will absolutely be parked outside a Texas roadhouse, and I gotta respect that. The C8's greatest weapon is not just speed, it is humiliation per dollar. Because exotic brands are built on the idea that performance is expensive, exclusive, and wrapped in leather that smells like generational wealth. Then Corvette showed up with a car that runs with them, beats some of them, and costs less than an option list on a Ferrari. That is just rude. A Ferrari buyer pays $40,000 in carbon fiber cup holders and calls it bespoke. A Corvette buyer goes, does this thing have front lift? Cool, I'm taking it to the tail of the dragon and then Buc-ee's. And look, I'm not saying the C8 is a Ferrari, but it can hold 2 golf bags in that trunk. It does not have the same badge prestige, interior theater, or my family owns a vineyard aura. But that's kind of the point. The C8 doesn't need to be a Ferrari. It is the thing that makes Ferrari owners explain themselves. And anytime someone in a $300,000 car has to say, well, it's not just about numbers, you know the Chevy has done emotional damage. Because numbers are not everything, but they are very funny when the cheaper car wins. And speaking of cars that make financially questionable decisions feel spiritually correct, quick reminder, the ideal giveaway is ending here in days. Shelby GT350, Toyota Supra, and $100,000 cash prize. I'm giving away 100 free entries to any of you to click the link before the giveaway ends. Click the pin first comment, go lock in your entries, and good skill. And then came the ZR1, and this is where Corvette stopped being a sports car and became a legal loophole with headlights. The new C8 ZR1 makes 1,064 horsepower with a warranty. Yes, 1,064 from a twin-turbo 5.5-liter flat-plane V8. That is not a Corvette number. That is a number that you hear from a YouTube build where the thumbnail is a blown engine and the title says, "We messed up." But Chevy put it in a production car. The ZR1 is so powerful, it makes the old ZR1s look like warm-up acts. The old ZR1 was already terrifying. The C6 ZR1 had 638 horses and was considered an absolute monster. The C7 ZR1 had 755 horses and looked like it wanted to fight a helicopter. Now the C8 ZR1 has 1,064 horsepower and a top speed of 233 miles per. That is a cartoon behavior. 233 miles per hour is not speed, it's an aviation accident. That is, sir, please contact the Tower territory. And again, it's a Chevy. Not a Bugatti, not a Koenigsegg, not some $2 million carbon bathtub from a company with 6 employees and a logo that looks like a medieval allergy medication. A Chevy, a brand your local HVAC guy drives. The ZR1 is the ultimate proof that the C8 platform was the right move. You could not do this the same way with the old layout. The traction, the aero, the packaging, the cooling, all of it needed the mid-engine architecture. The C8 gave Chevy room to escalate, and Chevy escalated like a group chat argument at 2 a.m. Now, does the C8 look perfect? Nah, let's be adults. Some angles are incredible. Front 3/4, great. Side profile, exotic. Rear haunches, aggressive. Interior, way cooler than the old car, even if the button wall looks like a keyboard designed by someone who hates passengers. But the rear end in some trims, it gets busy. The base car kind of looks like 3 designers submitted different assignments and Chevy said, yes. But then the C8 in the ideal spec lowered a little, good wheels, Z06 wide body, aggressive aero, it looks properly expensive. And hot take, some new entry-level Ferraris are not automatically prettier. There, I said it. Some modern Ferraris look like they were designed by a wind tunnel that was having a panic attack. Very fast, very expensive, very technically beautiful, but also something shaped like a gaming mouse. Meanwhile, a properly spec'd C8 Z06 in the right color pulls up and normal people think it costs Lamborghini money. That matters because for decades, Corvette's value was mostly hidden under the skin. You had to know what it could do. The C8 broadcasts it. It looks fast to people who don't know cars. That is why it worked. The C8 is important to me because, well, Chevy does not have many image cars left. The Camaro, gone, at least in the form that we knew it. The SS sedan, dead. The cool Chevy performance catalog got thinner than a dealership salesperson's patience when you say, "I'm just looking." So the Corvette had to carry the entire brand's performance soul on its back, and somehow it did. The C8 made Chevrolet look ambitious again, not just nostalgic, not just remember the good old days, ambitious. It told the world that American performance doesn't have to be stuck in an old formula. Yes, big V8s are great. Yes, front engine tire smoke is fun. But the C8 proved that America can build a modern exotic performance platform and still make it feel like us. It's not delicate, it's not precious, it's not trying to be a European sculpture that comes with a branded espresso spoon. It is a supercar with cup holders and attitude, and that is deeply American. The funniest part is watching all the old Corvette culture collide with the new one, Old Corvette Guy. This is a 2004 commemorative edition, 1 of 47 with the exact combination, never seen rain. The new C8 Guy, I wrapped mine chrome pink and installed an exhaust loud enough to get banned from 3 counties. Old Corvette Guy, I keep the original window sticker laminated. New C8 Guy, I launched it 46 times for content. Old Corvette Guy, these are factory valve stem caps. New C8 Guy, my passenger threw up during a pull and I got 1.2 million views. It is chaos, and it is exactly what the Corvette needed. Because collector culture, while it is great, but it can turn cars into museum furniture. The C8 made the Corvette feel like something people actually use, abuse, film, modify, and argue about. It became internet currency. And this year, internet currency is real currency. Ask any brand trying to get young people to care. So, here is my ideal hot take. The C8 Corvette is more important to Chevy than the C7, C6, or even the C5 were in their own eras. Not because it's automatically better in every way, but because it changed the Corvette's identity at the exact moment it needed changing. The C5 modernized the Corvette. The C6 refined it. The C7 perfected the front engine formula. The C8 burned the formula down and built a new one with side intakes. And that takes guts, guys, especially from GM, a company that sometimes moves with the urgency of a printer firmware update. The easy move would have been another front engine Corvette. More power, more grip, sharper styling. The faithful would have bought it. The forums would have clapped. The New Balance stock price would have surged. But instead, Chevy took a risk, and it paid off. The C8 made the Corvette aspirational to a new generation without completely abandoning the old one. It kept the V8, it kept the value, it kept the ridiculous performance per dollar identity. It just finally stopped pretending 1953 was still the blueprint. And no, the C8 Corvette is not perfect. The frunk is tiny. The rear visibility is, good luck, buddy. Some interiors still remind you that GM accountants are hiding somewhere in the walls. Dealer markups were disgusting. Early hype made some people act like a Stingray was a limited production spaceship instead of a very good production car. And yes, some owners immediately made them cringe. Every cool car attracts dorks. That's science. The Supra got stance kid. The GTRs got roll race mathematicians. The Mustang got crowd control issues. The C8 got TikTok finance bros with broccoli hair and carbon fiber dreams. But that does not make the car bad. It means the car matters. Nobody makes cringe content about a car nobody wants. So what is the C8 Corvette? It is the moment Chevy stopped making excuses. It's the moment America finally said, fine, we'll build the mid-engine thing. It is the car that took Corvette out of the cul-de-sac and put it in every teenager's For You page. It is the car that made Ferrari comparisons unavoidable, Porsche comparisons uncomfortable, and McLaren comparisons hilarious because the Chevy might actually start every morning. The Stingray made the platform real. The Z06 made it emotional. The ZR1 made it insane. And together, they made the Corvette feel like the center of American performance again. Not retro performance, not nostalgia performance, current, relevant, scary, memeable, track-capable, straight-line, violent performance. The C8 is not just the most important Chevy of the past decade. It might be the most important American performance car of the decade. Because it did what every brand says it wants to do, but rarely actually does. It evolved without forgetting what made it great. It became modern without becoming boring. It got exotic without becoming fragile. And it made an entire generation look at a Corvette and say, wait, I want that. And that is a win. Not the lap times, not the horsepower, not the 0 to 60, not even the 233 mile per insanity in the ZR1. The real achievement is that Chevy made the Corvette cool again. And if that sentence makes a 69-year-old guy in jorts mad while he polishes his one-of-one C5 because Travis left a booger in the clear coat on assembly day, well, good. That means the future has arrived. So let me know in the comments down below, is the C8 Corvette a true supercar, or is it just still a really fast Chevy with better hips? And be honest, you guys, if you had Z06 money, are you buying the screaming American Ferrari, or are you still chasing the badge from Europe? Like, subscribe so we can hit 2 million subs by the end of the year. And remember, the Corvette went mid-engine, 1,000+ horsepower, stole Ferrari's homework, and somehow still feels like it should come with a free hat. That is America. And honestly, hell yeah, brother. I'm Brad Danger. This is Ideal. Check out some of these Ideal vids over here. Remember to hit the pin first comment to get 100 free entries to win one of my cars plus $100,000. And, well, promise me one thing. Keep living the Ideal lifestyle.